G'day, it's Pete here and I'm back for another featured lesson, and today I wanted to talk about second hand to play. What should you actually be doing? So I'm going to cover what you're actually meant to be doing and why. Also how positioning actually matters. Why does it matter if you're in the second position to play, or third position, or fourth? And then we're going to talk about what we're usually meant to do, when we don't actually do it. So look at why we're meant to do the certain things we do, and when is it right not to do those certain situations. And there's a couple of different scenarios that I want to cover, and then we'll also talk a little bit about signals as well. Anyway, let's jump straight into it, see what we can actually do. So here we've got East playing in no trumps, and we've already led a club, so we'll just to put them in their hand. What we're going to do is look at what we're meant to do as second hand to play in each individual suit and why. So second hand usually plays a low card. So let's say that they lead low and we've got this holding here. Should we put in the king or should we play low? Here what we want to do is we usually want to play low, and this all comes down to positioning. We're the second person to act, which then gives the dummy a choice of what card to play after us. So if we play the king, they get to play the small. If we play low, they get to choose whether they want to put an honor on it. But more importantly, our partner also gets a chance as well. So our partner gets a chance to beat what's being played in from declarer and dummy. So usually, by leaving it up to partner, they can use the minimum amount of resource to actually try and beat this. So here, what we actually want to do is we want to play low, even though it looks like they're going to play the queen or the jack, and the king's the smallest card that we can actually use to beat it. But there's a few reasons why we also want to play low. Sometimes if we played high, our partner would have to beat it anyway and would crash our honors. So if we put up the king, if our partner only had one spade and it was the ace, it would go king small ace, and we've crashed our two spades together. And that's a really bad play to actually make. So here what we want to do is just play low. Now they can put up the queen and our partner still gets to beat it. Notice that we'll still get a chance to actually win our king of spades later. Even if East had the ace of spades, we'll probably get another chance to get a spade trick anyway. So one of the main reasons why second hand plays low is your partner might have limited choices, and we don't want to crash our honors together. So if we go up with our honor, there's a fair chance that we sometimes will crash our honors together. So that is something that we want to try and avoid. And by second hand playing low, that's usually what can happen here. Another one, let's say that they lead a heart towards the jack. So what we usually want to do is we want to play low. We could put up the ace, but one of the things is partner may have a chance to win the trick cheaper than we do. So here, if we play low and they put in the jack, this time partner gets to win the queen, which gets the trick as cheaply as possible. Whereas if we put up the ace, then we haven't guaranteed our trick here with the queen, and we won it more expensively than we actually had to. So this is another reason why we want to try and play second hand plays low. If we look at diamonds instead and say they lead a diamond, here it looks like they're going to put up the king. But what happens is we know partner can't beat it, but even still it's usually right to play low. So if we play low, they'll get to win their king. Today I lost 0 tricks missing king queen 9-2 because they covered my jack and partner had singleton, and their partner had a singleton king. Okay, so it went jack, queen, ace, king, and then you got to finesse the 9 as well. That's pretty good. We'll get to covering honors with honors later. So, but yeah, here when they lead a diamond towards the king, we want to play low. We'll open up all the cards so that you can see why we want to actually play low on this. Here, declarer's got king third. If we go up with our ace, we get our ace, but what happens is they get their king and their queen separately in this scenario. Whereas if we play low, yes, they get to win their king, but they were always going to win at least one diamond trick. And if they return diamonds, now when they get to put their queen, we capture it, and our side gets 2 tricks. We get the jack and the ace. So by not hopping up with the ace, we allow ourselves to get 2 tricks, whereas if we do jump up with the ace, our ace doesn't capture anything. So we don't, they get their king and their queen separately. This is something that we want to try and avoid. So again, second hand plays low. Even if we know that they're going to win the trick, it can be right to wait and sit back and let our cards capture honors rather than hopping up with the ace and letting them just play the 2s and the 3s in front of them. So this is what you generally want to do as the second hand player. You want to try and play low. But there are some situations where you don't actually want to do that. So number one is you know how you're going to beat the contract, and this should be your primary goal of how do we try and beat the contract. If you know how you can beat it, if you duck tricks, maybe the opponents can throw away them and you'll never ever get any. So if that's the case, then winning the trick's usually a good idea. Another one is you know your partner can't possibly ever win a trick in the suit. And I'm not talking about in this case like in diamonds where they get their 1 diamond trick with the king. We can sit back and wait for diamond tricks. We don't know if partner has the queen or the jack, but we can sit back to try and beat ace, queen or jack. But if we know our partner has just 3 little diamonds or 5 little diamonds or something like that, then hopping up with the ace would be okay because there's no chance of promoting something in partner's hand by trying to capture an honor. So that's another time when you don't want to play low. Another possibility is we're in no trumps, we're trying to set up partner's suit and they don't have many entries. So we have to set up their suit. We have to use our entry early to try and set up their suit so that when they do get in, they can run their suit. So thinking about entries there and what your overall goal is. Most of the times that you don't want to play second hand low, it's by thinking about the overall goal that you're trying to achieve in defense and what you're trying to actually do. Also, you might not want to play second hand low if you're going to allow them to win a trick really cheaply. Maybe you've got a bunch of touching cards and you put in the 10 from Queen Jack 10 or the King from King Queen. Cards like that to force something out because you're worried that they're going to win something cheaply. So you might want to play an honor just to force something out, just to promote the lower cards that you actually have. Okay. Let's also look at the club suit in here. I've got one more situation where second hand low actually works. So let's just let declarer get on lead, so he wouldn't actually lead diamond. But let's say that they lead a club. Here what we want to do is we want to play low. There's no reason to put in the queen. Our partner has a chance to try and beat that card anyway. So here we play low, and one of the benefits here is we don't finesse ourselves. So if we show all the hands, if we hopped up with the queen, declarer would get the ace, king, and jack. Whereas by playing low, we force them to actually play their honors, and we get a chance to beat the jack if they choose to take a club finesse here. So again, we want to play second hand low. So if we just look at those 4 different scenarios, here on spades we wanted to play second hand low because partner might have a shortage and have to play an honor in their suit. So if we hopped up with the king, we might risk crashing our honors. In hearts we wanted to play second hand low because partner might have a chance to win the trick more cheaply than us. Then in diamonds, what we wanted to do is we wanted to play second hand low because if we go up with the ace, they score their king and their queen separately, whereas if we play low, yes, they're going to get their king, but they're always entitled to a trick. What we want to do is try and stop them getting more tricks. We sit back and wait to capture their honor there. And in clubs, we play second hand low because we don't want to waste our honor and accidentally finesse ourselves, kind of like just wasting that queen. They're probably going to take a club finesse and we'll score our queen over their jack if we just play low, sit back and actually wait for those cards. So they're a bit about why we usually want to play second hand low, and when we don't want to play second hand low, it's all about the overall objective. Can we spot a way to beat the contract? Do we want to set up entries, like use our entries to set up partner's suit? Or do we know that partner has no chance ever of winning any suits in the trick, any any tricks in the suit, so that we might actually want to take our tricks then and there. So that's what we usually want to do in second hand when they play a low card. When they actually play an honor, this changes. What we usually want to do is we want to play second hand high, cover an honor with an honor. This is the general rule that we want to usually follow. So let's have a look at this. We'll get them opening one no trump, and we'll get them on lead again. So I'll just lead a club, not that that's what would actually necessarily lead. And let's say that they lead the queen of spades. Here what we want to do is we want to put up the king. So if they lead an honor, and by honors what I mean is ace, king, queen, jack, or 10. So we want to cover an honor with an honor. And the whole idea here is we want to promote lower cards for either us or for a partner. If we have any chance of promoting anything for us or our partner, it's worthwhile to cover an honor with an honor. So this is what we usually want to try and do. So if they lead the queen, we want to put the king on. And what this might do is it might set up the jack and 10 for our partner. This would be bad play by a declarer if they were missing both the jack and the 10, but people make bad plays. And if we cover the queen, then we set up, we have the chance of promoting the jack or the 10, or potentially both of them for our side. So here, when they led the queen of spades, we wanted to cover it because we had a chance of promoting that. And we'll just put them back in clubs. Okay, this time, let's say they lead the queen of hearts again. We want to cover an honor with an honor, so we can cover it with the jack. Now, if we could see their hand, and I'll show all the cards. Here they've got queen, jack, third. This is really hard to judge as declarer what they've got, but if you, it's more often than it happens when they're in dummy and you can see it. If they have touching cards, touching honors, you want to wait until the second one to cover. Now, if it's declarer's hand, it's tough to judge and you don't know what touching honors they've actually got. But if they lead an honor, you want to wait for, you want to cover the last of the touching honors. So here, I've got queen and jack. So if we cover it, it can go queen, jack, ace. And then they can finesse the 10 on the way back by playing a heart back to the 9. Okay, and they get 3 heart tricks. Whereas if we knew that they had queen, jack, 9, and I'm not saying that you have any reason to know, but let's say it goes queen and we duck this. Now what happens is if they lead the jack and we cover it, we promote out their 10, our partner's 10, and we get a heart trick this way. So if there are touching honors, and more often than not this happens when you can see it in the dummy rather than in declarer's hand, but you want to wait until they play the last of their touching honors to cover an honor with an honor and try and promote what you've got, because sometimes if you cover the first one, you set up a finesse position like this. Okay, and the next one is in diamonds. If they lead the 10 of diamonds, we want to cover an honor with an honor, and we can put the king on. So here, if it goes 10, king, ace, if our partner's got queen 9 here, they get 2 diamond tricks sitting over the jack. Whereas if we don't cover the 10, just go small, small, queen, and now they get to finesse to the ace jack as well. So here, this is why when we say cover an honor with an honor, I also include 10s in this. So you can cover a 10 with the king or the queen or the jack, cover an honor with an honor to try and promote something for either you or your partner. This is the overall goal that we actually want to try and achieve. Okay, so there are a few different examples of cover an honor with an honor working. Let's now look at when cover an honor with an honor doesn't actually work. So let's just get here, and we'll get them in no trumps again. And we'll just put them on lead. We wouldn't lead a club, but... Okay, let's say they lead the queen of spades. Should we cover this? No. The whole idea about cover an honor with an honor is to try and promote something for either you or your partner. Here we can see the ace jack 10 9, so there is no chance that we can promote something for either us or our partner, so there's no reason that we need to actually cover this, and we can actually just play low. Okay. Make them keep working, make them keep finessing. They might only have queen doubleton, and if that's the case they can only finesse twice, and our king will set up by length if we don't cover it. Okay. So again, if you have no chance of promoting anything for you or your partner, there's no need to cover it. If they lead the queen of diamonds here, again, we don't need to cover this because what we can see is they're probably going to have the jack, in which case they're entitled to 2 diamond tricks anyway. So here, if they lead the queen, if we cover it, we're trying to set up the jack 10 9. We've got the 9, but if we don't cover it and we just play low, what happens is that our king will grow up anyway because the ace was short. It had to be played on the second round. So we promoted our king by not covering. So that's another case here. So Steph said, an interesting point that I do not see even good players making use of is when you are declarer, play a different card from example, jack 10 9, depending on whether you want them to cover or not. Yeah, so I think, so what Steph's talking about here is being manipulative as a declarer, trying to induce people to get something to them to cover an honor or not. And I think this is one of the best things. I love thinking about it heaps, where people are taught to cover an honor with an honor. So as declarer, if you want them to cover, it's better. If you've got jack 10 9, if you want them to cover, you lead the jack. Whereas if you don't want them to cover, you'd lead the 9 because they're not taught to cover the 9. So working out how to manipulate what everyone's actually taught. And I think that's a really important skill as advanced players that you can actually learn to use. And another example of when cover an honor with an honor might not actually work is if I just open up this and say that declarer wanted a heart trick. So here they've got jack 10 doubleton opposite king doubleton. If they lead the jack and I cover it, it sets up the 10 and they had no guess. So they can jack, queen, king, and we get our heart trick. But what we actually want is declarer's got a choice here. For them to get one heart trick, they can choose, do I have the ace or do I have the queen? They can lead the jack to the king, hoping that I've got the ace, or they can lead the jack and play low, hoping that I've got the queen. If I cover an honor with an honor, what I'm actually doing is I'm promoting, like I'm removing the guess that they've actually got. Now this is a tough one to judge in defense. When does declarer actually have a guess or not? But if you know the position, and this is usually near the end of the hand, if you know that maybe they've got a guess, then don't cover it because it'll remove the guess from them and it'll just set up some heart tricks for them without a guess. Whereas if we play low, they have to guess whether I've got the ace, in which case they want to put up the king, which would fail this time. Or they could play me for the queen and play low. So they've got a choice here. And cover an honor with an honor fails to help them with, fails us by removing that choice for them. So it's really important that we don't always cover an honor with an honor. Here are some examples of when we don't do it. So if we backtrack to the start of the hand, just talk about the examples again. So in spades, we can see the ace jack 10 9. We know we have no chance of promoting something for either us or our partner, so no need to cover it. In diamonds, we can see that by playing low, we will promote our king anyway, so again, no need to actually do it. And in hearts, we remove their choice. All the previous examples where cover an honor with an honor was working, it was trying to promote a trick for either us or our partner. If you think there is a chance of doing that, then sure, go ahead, cover an honor with an honor, but there are some times that you don't actually want to do it as well. So you want to understand when is it right to do it and when is it wrong. You won't ever get these 100% right, don't expect that you will, but these are the general things that you want to be trying to think about to try and solve that. The final thing I wanted to talk about is a little bit about signaling. When we're playing low, you can tend to give signals. This depends on what sort of partnership agreement you've got about signals. A common one that people play is a count signal, but there's a wide variety of signals that you can actually play. If you're playing count, it depends, again, what sort of count signal you're actually playing, but if you are playing reverse count, which is what I like, A low one says you've got an even amount, whereas a high one would say that you have an odd amount. So you could play higher than low to say odd, low than high to say even. So when you're following small, we're not saying you necessarily have to follow with your smallest card. If you want a signal, this is how you can, like, account signals, the most common signal people actually give, if they give signals at all. There are other signals that you can choose to do. So whatever you and your partnership use, but when you're following to declare as lead, you can actually give some signals here. So again, we talked about what second hand to play should usually do, and this is they usually play low when declarer leads a low card, and this is because your partner is fourth to act. They get the chance to beat whatever declarer and or dummy has played. So fourth to play, it's usually gets the ultimate choice in what's the most resource beneficial thing that they can actually do. So for second hand, you usually want to play low because your partner has another opportunity after you. You always have to play low. If you see some greater objective about what you want to do, is declarer going to win something particularly cheaply? Do we know how we want to beat the contract? Maybe we just go ahead and actually do that. Or do we want to set up partner suit while they've still got some entries? So some broader defensive objectives will tell your second hand not to play low. Then we also talked about when they lead an honor. So we want to usually cover an honor with an honor. This is to promote something for either us or our partner. So if we think there's a chance of that, then we want to cover the honor with an honor. We don't want to cover the honor with an honor if we're going to promote something by not covering it, or we can see there's no chance for our partner, us or our partner, to win a trick. Also, if we think that declarer's just got a guess, then maybe we don't cover an honor with an honor there and make them do the guesswork as well. And then finally, we talked a little bit about signals. When you're playing low cards, you can give signals. Make sure you and your partner actually discuss what sort of signal you like to give. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this featured lesson on what second hand to play should actually do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.